Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show.
And this is 10 ways to make reverb work for you.
Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
Right, 10 ways to make reverb work for you. Just a quick reminder, if you're new to the show, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Right, we're away.
Yes, please do that. We are. Okay, we did a show recently, 10 ways to make fuzz work for you. And it was really popular and we got a lot of nice comments. We also did a show about how to choose delay pedals. So we thought, you know what? Let's do reverbs. Quite a lot of people have asked for this. We have done shows on reverbs in the past. But we're going to try and point some of that knowledge into 10 things to try to make reverb pedals work for you.
Lovely. Okay, so what is reverb?
Sound of a spaceman.
Yeah, man.
What do you do if you see a spaceman?
Parking it, man.
Yeah. If you are new, we apologise for that.
Yeah, so reverb is basically it's recreating the sound of a space. You will have known if you walk into a hall and you clap your hands or just even speak, you hear the reflections of all the space.
It is quite mad how much reverb you're hearing all the time and you never even realise it.
Yeah.
And the only time you realise it is when you walk into a space like this, which is relatively dead sounding, and it's just weird. If you've ever been into an anechoic chamber, it is eerie and it can make you feel quite sick.
Yeah. We were in Japan 18 months ago. And Boss have this amazing anechoic chamber, and it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
But when we set up the studio, so from the old place, it was just a normal room. When we set up this, we were quite conscious about having it as dead as possible, and it was really weird. And we put 2 little wooden panels at the back, and it changed everything.
Yeah.
So it is, the sound in a space is it's unique to each space and has a massive impact on the way that you hear things.
And your brain is extremely sophisticated in decoding it.
Yeah. And when it comes to guitar as well, there's a couple of things to do with amp reverb that, so for example, spring reverb, it doesn't sound like you're in a hall. It is its own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at number 1 then. An always on reverb.
Yeah, so maybe we just forget about the pedals.
Yep.
So as you will be aware, some amps have reverb in, some amps very famously have reverb in, and it's part of their sound, and some amps really don't. The classic one would be like a mid-60s Fender style amp, be that a deluxe reverb or a twin reverb or something like that. The clue is in the name, and they are famed for their reverb. Similarly, any kind of Marshall 50 or 100 watt head never had reverb. So it's, some amps have it, some amps don't. This one does. This is a Mesa Boogie Lone Star. And it has a very nice inbuilt spring reverb. And thing 1 is use it always on, a little or a lot.
Yeah. So one of the things about the spring reverbs and the amplifiers is they're also part of another circuit. You have to send the signal to the spring reverb, the signal has to go through basically reduction, and then as it comes back in, there's a gain circuit that lifts it back up, right? And that part of the circuit also has a sound.
Yeah.
So one thing with having a little bit of reverb on, you're also engaging that circuit of the amplifier. It's something that I personally really like to do.
Yes, it's probably a bit too much information at this point, but some reverb circuits are sent and recovered using a valve,
yes,
like this one,
yep,
two sides of one valve, and some using an IC or some other kind of electronic component to do that.
Okay, so
this one is a valve.
This one is a
for
valve.
what it's worth. Right then, Dan, if you would like to play,
Okay.
this is no reverb.
Really dry.
Really stiff. This is a little bit of reverb.
And even just that little bit of reverb, it makes it so much easier to play. It's fascinating.
We will talk about this as a separate thing in a minute, but this reverb can also be warmer or brighter.
Right.
So that's a lot, and you'll know a lot. It's not very loud in here today, and it's surprising me.
Yeah. Well, we're just only because we're just hearing that
Okay.
Todd at the moment. But I mean, so that is like a classic surf sound. But then you get to players like is it Albert King?
Yeah.
That would, you know, his whole thing was like crazy amounts of reverb.
Crazy amount of reverb. Let me get a guitar with some different pickups in it.
Yeah.
So you get a Gibson type guitar. We've got loads of reverb on. Let's put some little bit of overdrive on. No
It's
reverb, just to get the.
It's a whole different thing.
Just not the same thing, is it?
No, totally different. Yeah, so you know that players who can be identified by the reverb that they use, you know,
Yeah.
so it's a really, really cool thing.
Anyone called Albert, basically.
Okay,
Albert Collins, Albert King, Albert Lee.
right. So that's number one. Number two. No, I like this one. So, reverb, when used to the extreme, it's a really cool thing, but it can be at times overpowering. And a great way to still keep a lot of reverb in there, but not have it overpower everything, is to make it dark, which is basically choosing a reverb that has a tone control. You know, like we heard there to some extent, you can make it darker or brighter. But if we're going to stay with the spring theme for a minute, if we use the Topanga,
Yep.
which has this tone control, so if we set it to nice and bright,
Can we go into both amps, please?
yes, we can indeed.
Needs to be a bit louder. Okay.
Yep, so here you go. So this is both amps on. Topanga. Down ever so slightly. So lots of reverb there.
That's
It's
a killer
really
sound.
It's really hard because we've got to wait for the trails to come off the reverbs before we talk. So if there's any stilted, long gazing looks at each other at the moment, just we're waiting for the reverb task to go off. Right. So the Topanga is such a fantastic sounding spring reverb emulation. But what we can do now, if I turn the tone of that down, listen to how it changes the feel. Again, tone up. So I put even more in the mix.
It's such a key part of how the reverb sounds, isn't it?
Yep.
I just want to try something a sec. Like some clean chords.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do that with some clean chords?
Yep.
Sorry, a bit up and down today. Why don't we just use this nasty old guitar?
Well, if you're going to use that.
It's just for the clean chords.
Yes, of course.
It's just for the clean chords.
I just chord.
To say, I love you, I just chord. It's your gag and it will always be your gag. Right, so.
So with the tone rolled off, there's still plenty of reverb, but it's not getting in the way of anything. It's different. It's a different statement.
Really nice.
Yeah. So cool.
Very, very nice indeed. Presumably that gets really interesting when you have heavier gain.
Yeah. So give it a bit more love.
You're probably not the right guitar, but anyway, yep. That sounds killer.
Isn't that awesome?
And both sounds are really great and really effective.
Yeah.
But I think if you want it to sit out the way, you turn the tone down, you can still keep a lot of reverb in there and have it super spacey, but not crashing over everything.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Lovely. Right. So number 3, trying your reverb before your gain stages. So up to now, we've had the gain stages going into the reverb. What that gives you is basically you're creating the gain, and then that sound is then being affected by the reverb, right? But we do it the other way. If we take the reverb, create that, and then we're going to distort the reverb. So here's our overdrive. And we'll just stick with this because this is the sound we've been using. So this is now before the overdrive. Now, if I put the overdrive before the reverb without sort of changing anything. And then back to the reverb before the Overdrive. I love that.
Absolutely killer.
It's so cool. It's shoegaze. Yeah, or it's movie.
Any ambient,
all that stuff. It's so cool. It's so cool.
For anyone who doesn't know, the sort of accepted order is to have reverb after Overdrive, right?
Yeah, right at the end of everything.
Yeah, it's the sort of traditional accepted order is to put reverb at the end, but what a great sound.
Experimenting with where you place reverb, and you can get some just really wonderful things.
Yeah. I just want to have I know this video will be 8 hours long, but I just want to try something a minute. Can I hear that sound?
Sure. It's awesome.
It's awful. Horror movie.
Yeah, it's soundscapey stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Getting through this. So number 4, using long regeneration for swells and pads. So it's a common thing used with delays, but you actually get amazing results doing the same thing with reverbs.
So far, all the way through 1 to 3 has all been about spring reverb.
Yep.
So I guess we're going to move on to a different kind of reverb now, are we?
Yeah. So we'll go to the Hall of Fame 2.
Yeah.
One of the highest selling pedals of last year, whatever it was. Hugely popular reverb pedal, and it has this decay knob, which allows you to dictate how long it takes the sound to decay.
Yep.
So let's say if we go to a church reverb, which is the sound of a massive space.
Yep.
And then I'm going to turn the level right up. So if you can play this for me. So like really long swells. But what you do, if you swell into that,
That's very cool.
it's very, very cool. So if you are if there are more than one guitar player in your band and you're looking for something else you can do, instead of just tracking on the chords, Swells with reverb pedals is a great way to do it.
It's really lovely, yeah. And if you're not super comfortable using your guitar's volume control, obviously you could use a volume pedal on the floor, which would have the same effect.
Sure.
Might be a little bit easier for you, but yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's
I'm
lovely.
going to try that.
It's lovely.
We sort of touched on it, but reverb types. So we talked about the spring reverb, which is what you find in most old amps.
Yep.
And the Topanga that this pedal specifically tries to replicate that in a pedal.
You get pedals like the White Whale that actually is a spring reverb.
Has a spring in there.
Yeah, so have a listen to this. So absolutely gorgeous, right? Which is basically recreating the way that the spring works. Then you have digital emulations of that, like the Topanga, which is great. But when you want more flexibility with your reverb sounds, because obviously the spring sound is a classic guitar sounding reverb, but if you want to get into more studio type things that have plate reverbs and hall reverbs, and then some more experimental reverbs, then we go digital, which is what the Hoff is. So, for example, we've got a bunch of really cool, we were playing with the church a second ago. We'll have a listen to so this is a Shimmer, which is a really famous reverb now that has sort of octaves and harmonies in the
Sort of became
trails.
a thing in the 2000s, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is a modern digital creation of something.
Yeah. Now that's really cool, but what we can do for number 5 is using more than one reverb. If we take the White Whale,
Yep.
and we're going to put that into that Hoff. Right?
Cool.
So here's the White Whale.
Number 5, use more than one reverb.
So try the spring into the plate. But do you see how it gives you like you can't
day.
you can't get that sound with just one of them.
No.
You got one has to feed the other. It's so cool.
There was a time, a lot of people watching this will remember, not so long ago, reverb pedals on pedal boards were really unusual.
Yeah.
I don't know, 15 years ago,
Right.
let's say. But in recent years, they've become, super, super, super popular, haven't
Yeah,
they? There was
yeah.
a time where you just didn't have a reverb pedal.
Yeah.
So
Well, they're so much fun.
You touched on it there a little bit. We spoke about digital emulations of spaces
Mm-hmm.
that are usually created with impulse responses. So something like the church that we looked at in the Hall of Fame, or you'll often see things like cathedral, room. They are digital emulations of physical spaces.
Mm-hmm.
The plate, which Dan mentioned there, is a slightly different thing. That's a big metal plate with a electric charge that gets pushed across it, isn't it, in a studio? Because I think they can often get confused, those sorts of things.
Sure. Yeah. So those original plates. So if we think of the first reverbs that you could add in the studio was just a massive room, and you'd have a speaker in one end and microphones at the other, and then you'd mix the sound of that space on top.
Yeah.
And then they worked out they could do this thing with a plate reverb by putting the voltage down this massive plate and do a similar thing.
Literally a big metal plate, isn't
Massive metal plate.
Yeah.
But the advantage of that is it didn't take up a massive room to do it. They could save, it's still a long space, but it could be a narrower, area. So they became very popular. And they have a sound all unto themselves, which is very cool. But still a vintage sounding, you'll hear those on albums. It was used really widely.
Still massively popular, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the really famous one is. Is it EMT or something? I see it in my list of Universal Audio plugins when I look for reverbs.
Right.
They're listed.
Right. I think there are still plate reverbs in use today, real ones.
God, yeah. Although obviously, what's become more popular is the digital algorithm.
Yeah, because it's so
impulse response in software.
There's one thing that if you're using something like Universal Audio, to me, it's one thing they're so good at is creating the sound of spaces.
Yeah,
like that. Is it Wave Studio?
Ocean
Waves?
Way.
Ocean Way, right? And that thing is scary because it's like you're in the room.
It's a room sound.
It's amazing because they can when they do that. They'll measure the room and they'll do an impulse response of it, and it tells you exactly, the distance and of all, and the not only the distance but the how much of that is coming back from each surface.
Yeah.
And how dark or bright those
the nature of the surface is. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is incredible.
Lots of companies make good reverb plugins, by the way, but we particularly like the Universal Audio ones.
Yeah. So what we heard then was two reverbs in series, one after the other. Now, if you don't have two different reverb pedals, but you have one stereo pedal, this is a little hack that you can do, right? So this is where are we? This is number 6. This is my stereo hack, right? Basically, a stereo reverb pedal that has 2 ins and 2 outs has two separate reverb circuits running in parallel, right? So if you imagine you've got a stereo signal, you're plugging that in and you're affecting each signal separately, right? So it's basically 2 signals running in parallel. What we can do is I can have the input go into the mono in. I'm going to have the mono out plug into the stereo in, and then the stereo out goes back to the stereo out becomes the main output. So it's still mono. I just have
the two
reverbs engines are now in series.
Interesting.
Okay, so if you play this now, I'll turn the.
So should we do? I'll just play something, quickly unplug it. I'll play the same thing, and then you can edit that. Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So it's really cool if you've got a stereo pedal that's been, you've never used that.
I genuinely learned something.
Right, yeah, it was great. It's just running those two engines in series.
Yeah.
It gets some great sounds out of it that you've not experienced with your pedal before.
So if you have a reverb pedal, I'm sure there are reverb pedals that can send different reverbs out of the left and right outs.
Yeah, I don't.
I bet there are.
I bet there are. I thought
bet that one can.
Well, it can't.
Oh, right.
So their delay does that. The delay has you got different engines, but that one doesn't do it. I thought it did.
Right.
But yeah.
So if you have a reverb pedal that can send two different reverbs out of the two outs, you can get both of them without having to run it in stereo. We will talk about stereo right at the end. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
How very cool.
Yeah, really dig it.
Okay, so moving on from there then, that was Two Reverbs in Series.
Yes.
And the stereo hack. Number 7, Two Reverbs in Parallel.
Yeah. So this is, again, what we've done up to this point. We've had the signal going into a reverb, and then that goes into another reverb. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split the signal and send it into two reverbs in parallel and then blend it back together. So I've got this RV6, okay? And I've got that set up to be, well, you'll hear it. Here you go.
I'm going to change guitars if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I do love the Jazzmaster, but not today. For reasons I can't explain. Let's have a listen to Old Blue, shall we?
Indeed. So this is the RV6, the way the RV6 is set up. Okay, so let's blend reverb in parallel with that. Let's set the white whale up.
Yep.
So here's the white whale.
So nice.
Yeah, but it's a very different sound than running them together.
Yeah.
So basically they're free to do their own thing and they just get mixed together at the end.
It's great.
Yeah, and there's a number of ways you can do that, a number of devices that do that. But if you have a reverb pedal that you can run two engines separately, then that's the sort of thing that you can do. Set up, You
could do that.
Yeah.
I can just imagine that under, some lovely lilting song, great singer, loads of reverb, and just playing really simple chords.
Yeah.
And just filling out a massive amount of space with not much.
I think so many people, when they think about creating a sound like that, the first thing they go to is delays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as creating a soundscapey type thing. And for good reason, because they're awesome at that. But if you do it with reverbs, what you get is you get all the note, right? And then just the wash behind it. Reverb is delay. It is a series of short,
many
short delays.
series of short
exactly,
delays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. I think delays can get really thick at that sound, whereas reverb's sort of more washy. But yeah, it's a great way to do it.
It's a brave cliff edge to stand on as well, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
any note you delay slightly worse, especially long delays, because your wrong notes get delayed back at you and back at you and back at you. But true with reverb too. You
Yeah.
know, you drop a clanger. You know, you sort of come in for your first nice E major chord.
I thought that was beautiful.
For anyone of a certain generation, if you remember Les Dawson, the master of purposefully playing it wrong.
I can be downstairs practicing on my own and just playing stuff, and I'll play one more note. I hear my wife shout out from upstairs, Les Dawson! Bless her. Okay.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it's really, really great.
Really lovely.
Okay, so moving on to number 8. Taking that sort of approach and sort of expanding on it, we touched briefly on things like shimmer reverbs and stuff. This is basically creating a sound that doesn't sound like a guitar by getting one of those really full-on affected harmonized reverbs and turning off the dry sound, basically killing the dry.
So this is, you probably start with some sort of impulse response type thing of a space, and then you add extra digital effects to those trails.
Yeah. So this is using the sparkle in the Empress reverb, and I've basically got it mixed to 100%, so there's no dry signal in there. And when you hear it like that, you get... So if you heard that recorded, you'd never know that was a guitar.
It's like a church organ, isn't it? With all those extra
Yeah.
high harmonies
Yeah.
and pipes and stuff.
Yeah.
And start detunes and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are a number of, you know, like if you go into the app on the Hoff, there's some just crazy delays, and you can turn the, you know, kill dry and all that sort of stuff within the app.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, kill dry means just turn the dry sound of your guitar off.
Yeah.
So you don't hear the initial note attack.
So these reverbs have a mix control that lets you mix the affected into the dry. Yeah, and the kill dry just kills the normal sound.
It will vary on pedal to pedal. On some pedals, the mix knob will go from all dry to 50-50 wet and dry, and then all wet.
Yep.
And then other pedals will be all dry and then all wet and dry. Mm-hmm. So not all pedals do kill.
It just keeps the dry. It keeps the dry there.
Yeah.
And just
You have to, as Dan said, if you want to do that on the Hoff, you've got to go into the app and do it there.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. But it's cool and it's fun if you're looking for some. I remember when I first got the Strymon, the Big Sky, which is another fantastic stereo reverb pedal, because I was so used to getting those sorts of experimental sounds from harmonized delays and things. But when I heard that in a reverb pedal, it was like such an eye opener. Mm. It's really, really cool.
It's really cool. It is a beautiful sound.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so
nice.
Number 9 for something completely unexpected. Turn your reverb off. So I've done this for me as much as anything, because I use reverb all the time, and it's sort of become a crutch, if you know what I mean. Because if I don't have it on there, I can't really play You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I hear Stevie's brother,
Jimmy
Vaughan play, right? No reverb.
Really?
No reverb. Boom. It's like he might have the sound of reverb in the hall or something, but he doesn't have reverb on his amp.
Right.
And it's there.
Yeah.
Reverb is amazing, but one thing that it will do is it will start to pull you back
Out of the mix,
out of the mix.
potentially, yeah.
So if you want to really push the stuff forward,
Yeah.
try turning the reverb off. If you're like me and you're so used to playing with it on,
Yeah.
try turning it off.
I think that could be used to great effect in parts of songs as well.
Yeah. So if we set you up with a solo sound,
Yeah.
right, and then I'm going to turn the Topanga on, and then I'm just going to turn it off, right in the middle of it. Okay.
It's quite arresting. Probably more appropriate in styles other than blues.
Well, the thing is, if you're in the middle of doing a solo, you can turn it off for a bit.
Yeah.
And then turn it back on.
Imagine that as the band just kind of drops down to nothing.
Yeah.
And you're there relying on your reverb, and then it's just nothing.
Yeah, but it's so
Yeah.
Using it dynamically in that sense.
In a similar
really cool thing.
in a similar vein, when I started using Mesa Boogie amps when I was in my teens, one feature of the reverb on some of the Mark series amps was instead of turning the reverb on and off, it would turn it to what you had it to maximum.
Oh wow!
So it'd be kind of the same thing. You could play with loads and loads and loads of reverb and then just back to nothing.
normal.
Yeah. So instead of using it, it's like it's turning it on its head. Instead of just using it for the always on ambience, it's have it basically off most of the time. But then when you do use it, clash the thing to smithereens.
Yeah,
as
right.
It were.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Turn it off. Worst thing you can ever say to a guitar player.
And a phrase that you'll hear quite often.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was that? Oh, turn it off. Yeah. Okay.
Right, number 10. And this is for anyone that hasn't experienced this. This is so much fun. Stereo reverb. If you get the chance to set up a really nice stereo reverb pedal into 2 amplifiers and just sit down and have a play, it's beautiful. So we've got the Emperor set up in stereo. And let's just go to a nice... Actually, let's go to a nice hall. There you go. Have strungage on this. That's pretty crazy, right?
Massive.
So massive.
Absolutely massive.
Now, you might find practical problems with that. You might get in the band and it might not sound like that.
We stumbled on one as I started to hit the guitar harder and try and play some lead stuff. It just got too washy and splashy,
right.
because you'd set the sound up really nice as I was picking kind of soft.
Right.
And the overdrive was in a certain place that it didn't sound too aggressive.
Sure.
Oh man, it's just killer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that if you've got time to play and just sit down and just be inspired by some sound, stereo reverb, it's absolute joy.
It really is.
Yeah.
Imagine adding to some bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong delay to that.
Yeah. Epic.
Wicked.
There you go, guys. 10 ways to make your reverb pedal work for you.
I learned something.
Did you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
A couple of things, in fact.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I don't actually have a reverb pedal on my pedal board at the moment.
Yeah, but you have a Two-Rock.
No, I think that's going to change.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. It's really inspiring.
It's going to be so funny to see at the gig. You're going to have a reverb pedal and a delay at the very front of your chain.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Doing swells, not playing any Jimmy licks. You'd be like, where's Mick gone?
Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, a massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is
Anderton's Music of Guildford in Surrey, where you can buy most of this stuff.
Yeah. Also, in Australia
would be Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland.
And if you're interested in looking at some of this stuff, there are links in the description. If you click on those links, it does help fund the show.
Yes, please click on them and buy things.
Yes. Also, massive thank you to everyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and purchased T-shirts and beanies and pedals and
journals and strings
all
and
that stuff.
Pencils.
Yeah.
Did you say pencils?
No, I didn't say pencils.
Yeah, pencils as well.
Awesome.
Great for writing.
And that'd be it.
That'd be it.
Yes, have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.